What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to talk to you about SoFi. I want to go over the latest updates, what shorts did, and go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. So SoFi did go down 1.73%, 27.08 the high, 25.92 the low. So in typical fashion, SoFi just sold off like crazy. And that was largely because of institutions. So I'm going to go over what they did and so forth. But we did see somewhat low volume today, so just shy of around 41 million shares being traded. One thing that really did move the broader market was kind of data as well as macro kind of conditions. So starting off with the data, we did have PPI, retail sales, mortgage market applications, mortgage market index, and also existing home sales, all coming in relatively positive. So as a byproduct, of course, the market sells off because that's what it does, right? The market wants negative data. And Trump conveniently put out a video, or there was a video yesterday floating around, of Trump complaining about that exact same thing. And I've been complaining about this since kind of mid 2024. It just doesn't make sense. And I've been investing for quite some time, and everything's been relatively normal up until, like I said, 2024, when the market's been very fixated on rate cuts. So definitely the market likes to spin the narrative. So all of this data came in fairly positive. So the market didn't really like that. At the same time, there is a lot of geopolitical issues and kind of grayness that is happening. One is in regards to Iran, and then we also do have Greenland as well. So market doesn't necessarily like that. And as I've been mentioning, today was going to be a big day for the Supreme Court ruling. Unfortunately, we didn't get any kind of discussion, any topics from that, and there was no adjourned date. Obviously last Friday we had it kind of adjourned to today, but still the market's not really knowing what is coming next. And it's kind of interesting though, a lot of individuals saying that this is a very big deal for the broader market, but I haven't really seen any in-depth analysis on, like, if the tariffs do get overturned, how impactful is that to the market? That is where I feel like it's extremely gray as well. So institutions were somewhat holding off, not just with SoFi, but pretty much across the board. SoFi did put out news this morning, and that was this right here. So SoFi to match 1,000 federal contribution to investment accounts for employees' children. So this is only for SoFi employees. So that's maybe a good incentive to go work there. But I don't personally see that this is a big deal for SoFi right now. This isn't a good catalyst that you needed to kind of stop what you're doing and buy. It's a good FYI that SoFi is kind of working on a lot of things. Plus, there was some big announcements associated to this, the Trump account, as of December the 2nd. So it does look like contributions cannot be made before July the 4th. So I think SoFi is just laying the foundation for this to occur. But again, this is only for SoFi employees. So I don't really see this being that crazy of a deal, in my opinion. One thing that was posted by SoFi Insider was this, just showing that there's an Easter egg of commercial real estate. And we do know over the last couple earnings, SoFi has really pushed that they want to kind of the residential real estate market, they want to expand significantly. And a lot of that is thanks to the Wyndham Capital Mortgage acquisition that was done back in 2023. But potentially that might mean that there might be an acquisition coming down the pipeline that would help them establish a stronger foothold in the commercial real estate market. So maybe that is why SoFi did recently do a acquisition, because there might be some big announcement coming. And I think a lot of individuals obviously just gravitate towards acquisition mode because SoFi doesn't need money right now. So whenever a company, such as in SoFi's case, dilutes, it's usually for something big, more common than not. Of course, as I mentioned in previous videos, they could just be building like a stronger moat just in case of hard economic times coming in the foreseeable future. Or again, maybe the latter, it could be just a acquisition. So let me know your thoughts on that in the comments below. Aside from that, shorts did return about 440,000 shares. 9.41% of the free float is being shorted. Works out to be 116.7 million shares overall are being shorted. DTC still sitting at 1.9 days, signaling that shorts are fairly overextended. Still some signs of naked shorting, so more shares being shorted than on loan, which shouldn't happen. SEC clearly is out on vacation still. They're not really paying attention to much. Aside from that, though, looking at options, kind of low volume, matches with common stocks at 27 million in calls, 8.8 in puts, and 48% of all the options being done were bearish in nature, but most of that was done in the first half of the trading day. And I think a lot of institutions were just reacting to the data. And again, just throwing a little bit of a temper tantrum that most likely we won't be getting any rate cuts. But aside from that, from a bull standpoint, you see a consensus for it to be above 27 to 27.50, so a little bit of a recovery is anticipated. Bears are anticipating for it to be sub 25, so definitely could go either way, so we'll have to wait and see. A lot of big banks are putting out their earnings. So far, no substantial red flags to spook the broader market just yet. But again, we do have Bank of America and many others, so potentially that could really kind of move things. Aside from that, these are all the transactions that did occur today on the secondary market. So a lot of big transactions, most of which did occur near the end of the day, really pushing SoFi higher. So we did have a high for about 38 million, 6.9, 5.3, 4.1, 4.03, 2.5. As I've mentioned, though, we did have this sell-off right here that was institutions selling. So if I orient this based on time, you can kind of see a lot of the most recent ones were buys, but if I scroll right down to the very bottom, which was the early morning, this is where you see a lot of institutions selling, a massive amount of selling up until around that 9/11. So that's where I hit that 26.32. And so, yeah, kind of crazy stuff for that. So let me know your viewpoint why institutions would be selling. Do you think it's that much of a sheep type of movement? Or do you think that the data that did come out was legitimate reason to cause fear? Or again, it could be geopolitical as well, with Iran and a lot of comments from Trump about Greenland for whatever reason. Aside from that, though, these are all the transactions that did occur on the dark pool. So nothing significant. The largest was 5.6, 5.3, 3.2. And given the fact that shorts didn't really do too much today, it is fair to assume most of this is kind of linked to them. But aside from that, with it closing at 26.67, it is trading between this pivot and this S1. So 26.30 is going to be a strong support. So just watch for that tomorrow. Aside from that, quickly popping right over here on the actual chart, it did do fairly well. It recovered in SoFi fashion by institutions really buying it up, but based on the technicals, still not looking too great. It is below the 50, 100, and also 10-day moving average. So kind of signals that it's losing a little bit of momentum. Aside from that, stochastic RSI is around 30. So a good piece of news associated to SoFi or the broader market. You could see a nice push higher, but things seem to be going the polar opposite, that kind of tensions are increasing between Iran, Greenland, and many others. And then you kind of have a lot of positive data. And that obviously was one of Trump's biggest arguments when he ranted yesterday, was saying that the data is positive, there's no real reason to panic, and blah, blah, blah. And honestly, I do completely agree with him. For those of you that have been watching my channel for a while, especially 2024 and 2025, I've been complaining about that for a very long time, how the market, it's extremely difficult to kind of figure out how things are going to be interpreted. Like if we get positive data, yes, in theory, that should push things higher, but market wanting a rate cut spins the narrative and causes it to be a negative. It very just messes with just rational investing. But nonetheless, let me know your thoughts on SoFi. Did you buy today? Did you sell? What did you do with SoFi? One final thing, pop over to my Patreon if you're looking for some solid buy signals on stocks, options, crypto. Put out daily day trades, numerous swing trades, worthwhile to pop over there and check that out. With all that, appreciate all of you watching.